Hello, people and bots. Grandpa Canuck here, and we are in Hearts of Iron Black Ice mod with a tutorial. This one is on the Italian focus tree. And in the background, you hear Bonnie and Clyde, my two green cheek conures. They love to get in on the conversation, and I'm sure they'll add lots of comments along the way. Okay. The Italian focus tree. Not easy, not simple, very complex. Looks like almost a giant block. You have 13 entry points across the top that you can actually choose to start from. There's one right on the top row that you can't do till 1938. To decide which way to approach this tree, you really need to decide what your war goals are right from the start. You can't make it up as you go along. You really, really need to know. Now, at first look, the tech tree seems to be divided into three. You can see this line that's coming off here and goes right down the center, pretty much dividing off this half entirely. So this section is alone. Okay. This section with this long line, okay, comes down various points. It's got a few crossovers, and then it's got another huge line. But it actually goes across all the way to here, and it brings in this center part as well. Okay, confusing. So it's not really clear cut. In a nutshell, the left part is mostly your naval. Then the center of the left is mostly Air Force. Then you have mostly your Army. So mostly the armed forces items are on the left-hand side. I say mostly. The center starts off with a number of political, but there's economic development all scattered here. So let's just back out a little bit and get the big picture. There we go. So if we click on Air Force, you can see here's the dominant area, but they're also scattered all over the place. Over here, you're getting air bases. Okay, so this is all connected in to political things. The Army, as I said, is on the right of the left part. Okay, mostly down straight through here. But it has this large chunk over here. Okay, and one all alone over here, which gives military factories. It's not all in one area. Command power, there's only one on there. Fortifications, there's only two. Industry. It is mostly concentrated here in the central right, but it has items all over the place. It is scattered. You really need to have a good look through this tech tree, or this focus tree, before you start. Infrastructure, again, a lot at the top, a couple of rows, but it's scattered. Right, 3 on the lower part here, and lots in the central over this part here. Manpower, scattered. Navy. Well, here you can see, as I said, on the left is mostly that development of naval units. Okay? Mostly. Except there's a major component right here. And these are all kind of related back. Naval industry. Research for light cruisers and naval guns. You would think it would be more over here. No, it's over here. Political. Again, it's scattered throughout. I kind of said the main political in the beginning is here, but this is a definite line here, this area here, but there's also political mixed in with the naval stuff over here, right? And the army stuff, and you know, it's just a hodgepodge. Research. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of naval research here, right? But it is scattered throughout. Stability, again, mostly in the political area, but not all. Territorial expansion. You've got some tough choices, and it doesn't look apparent like right off the top. But some of these lines you can actually get to a little quicker than you'd think so. War support, all in the political area. That's the one that's mostly in the area. Okay, let's look a little deeper at some of these lines. The naval comes down. Now, the first thing I'd like to address is this long line which covers the left hand of the focus tree. And then coming down from is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items. When you look at this 8 items, this needs 4 from the above, 3 from the above, 3 from the above, 1 from the above, 2 from the above, 3 from the above, 1 from the above, 2 from the above. Okay, and this needs the 2 directly above it. This one needs the one right above it. This one needs 3, the industrial above it, the alpine above it, and the standardization. So it needs those 3. So that's kind of concentrated here. So why does it go all the way across? Well, this one needs the industrial concern from the right side. This one just needs the one from right above. It's kind of the oddity. This one needs the industrial concern from over here. This one needs the industrial concern. And this one, this is the one that causes the problem, okay? Because it has the standardized radio item, which is this one way over here, is needed for here. And they can't cross lines, so they make it come all the way across, even though a lot of these don't go way over here. The one on the far left does. Okay? So if you want this innovation, you need this. So that adds a little bit of confusion. After this line, it settles down a lot easier. It settles into ships, Air Force, artillery, and special units of different sorts. As you come down this focus tree, this bounces around in the naval pretty straightforward, and there's only one decision where you have to do mutually exclusive all the way down here. Okay, so that's pretty much easy to get a grasp of. This splits out after this one, Navy and Air Force coordination, because are you going into carriers or not? Okay, but it's still fairly straightforward. So this part of the tree, dealing with the units, isn't too bad once you get over little oddities like this connected to way over here. Going through the units, the support units, the Alpine, various focuses here, you come down to a choice here. Whatever it takes, and this FRIO, mutually exclusive. This gives pluses on supply penalties, and this gets you something about ignoring most of the terrain penalties. This is kind of an odd tech. A small offensive boost while suffering slightly more attrition and damage. that's an unusual applicable. It has to do with essentially learning how to run logistics through the mountains, and then you have a choice of how that affects in two different ways. This can be a powerful little tech, but read it. It doesn't say exactly clear what it is until you read the small print. Gain the ability, right? Add organized costo, which ignores most of the terrain penalties. Most of the terrain penalties. Okay, it still isn't totally clear. Now, coming down the central area, and you could get here fairly quickly. Confirming your leadership structure. And this opens up two sides. One is the traditionalist, and the other one is really supporting mobile and tank. And that's a clear, distinct choice depending on how you're going to play. And you can make that choice fairly quickly. You get through this first tech, and then you come down here about confirming the leadership. This gives you 25 army experience, which is nice to have. It's got some nice bonuses in there for some other things, and it gives you a recruitable population factor of +10, for instance. These are all very, very good. It also adds in a whole bunch of generals for you. So it's one you're probably going to get fairly early on, even though it's looking kind of in the middle of the tech tree. You don't have to make this decision right away, but this is a decision you should probably make and have in mind from the beginning of the game. Are you going to go with the mobile and tank, or are you going to go with the old guard here, which is, land doctrines and different people, different generals you can empower. Okay. And this does come down here. You get this modern tactics, learn from the Ethiopian War, okay? But then this really, really divides out. We're going to come back here in a minute. Now, the most logical starting place, because you are a nation that actually starts at war, and the war is in Ethiopia, okay, is to the Ethiopian War Logistics. And this one here, the Army Chimichi. Forgive my Italian pronunciation. And proclaim the empire. These are fairly basic ones. They don't take very long, and quite often they are done very, very early in the first month or two of the war, for sure. Now, this looks, by its title, to be the typical development entry, and it is, but it's got a lot of other connections to it, okay, including the heroic tales and the drain the swamp. Now, some of these cross over far again. Right, this requires expand the industrial base. It doesn't require this. It requires this one. Okay, this requires 3. Here, here, and here. This is the same. This only requires 2. Here and here. This requires 2. Expand the industrial base, and they're kind of right above. Same here, almost right above. This requires 2, kind of the 2 above it. This requires 3. Here, here, and here. So kind of the 3 right above. Marconi's legacy. Again, the 3 kind of right above. So this heroic tales. Where is it actually needed as you go across? Well, this one requires the industrial base, so why is it connected to the rest? This one's required to drain the swamp. Okay. This one's required to drain the swamp. This one's not. This one's not. This one's not. This one's not. Only these two require the heroic tails. Yet, this, because these, the lowers, require things to the left, it joins in. This heroic tails is only going into these two. It's not needed for anything in this section. So look at this as two different sections. And it's kind of three. Very, very confusing. And when you're looking at this focus tree, you need to look maybe 2 levels down to where you're going with it. And it's very, very confusing on this right side. One of the major decisions that you have is this choice right here. This is determining whether you are gaining a research slot for land forces, okay, and 8 military factories, or getting a research slot for naval functions and getting 2 naval dockyards, a shipyard, and 2 steel mills. This is a big, big decision, and it's an important decision. And if you make the wrong one, you decide you want a real active naval war, and you've chosen this. Okay, you're blocked off. You can't go here. If you choose the army development, you can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this, which means you can't do any of these. You can't do this. You can't do this. So this entire area gets blocked off if you go this way. If you go this way, this is okay, but these two are blocked off. If you go the naval, you lose access to both these, which means all of this is lost. Okay, increasing factory output. This is major land warfare items. A military factory, an artillery factory, a tank assembly plant, air assembly plant. And you can't get to that if you choose this way up here. This looks like it's way down, but this choice is affecting all of this. Okay? And this choice is affecting all of this. So you need to be very, very set. Are you prioritizing army development or naval development? This is a clear-cut choice on here. At first glance, it kind of looks buried in the middle of the focus tree. But this is a major, major consideration, and you need to think about it likely from the start. Yeah, you can still develop various naval things, but you lose some very major components here, right? So you need to make that choice on what you're doing. So now, as I mentioned, we have this huge line which is coming across, you might say, the rest of the tech tree, because it's separating all this bottom from everything else. And it's kind of fuzzily divided in two here. That's because you have this choice. Claims on Yugoslavia and befriend Yugoslavia. Okay. Which kind of the decision here is where do you go? Do you join the Axis or not? This is a major decision. Okay? This joining the Axis only comes from this split here. Okay? Italy first. Patto Daciano. Daciano. Oh boy, can't say it. Which is the only way to get to join the Axis. If you're not going to join the Axis, it opens up this here, kind of down the center. This, go after France, okay, requires befriend Romania and secure Mussolini's position. Romania, secure Mussolini's position. It's got nothing to do with these coming down. Spanish-Italian alliance. Befriend Romania, secure Mussolini's position. Okay, so all of this has to do with this side of the tech tree. This has to have one of the following. Claims on Yugoslavia, befriend Yugoslavia, okay, plus the befriend Romania. So that's directly affecting the center. Here we have a major decision. Okay? And they're totally independent, these two decisions. The one is befriend Turkey, okay, which means you have to have Romania selected. Remember, way back over here, okay, and secure Mussolini's position, way over here. So it's related to these. This one, the same two, related back here to the middle, okay? So that's just a little branch that's off to the side. This is a very interesting alternate history that you can play. You go Italy first. Italy develops its own fascist alliance, and once the Germans are at war with the Soviet Union, you stab them in the back, and you declare war on the Germans. Very interesting if you've maintained peace with the Allies until this point. Very interesting if Germany goes to war with Russia early. Okay, and hasn't secured the Pact of Steel, as it was called. Okay, so this allows for one of the... Yeah, you bet, Clyde. This provides one of the most interesting alternate histories available in Black Ice. And you really, really have to think ahead, because if you're going to backstab Germany, you know, does that affect how you want to do ship or land? Do you want more resources in naval because you know you're going to have to fight the British sometime? And here's the other one. Underneath that, after you backstab Germany or befriend Turkey, you get this option here. Okay, and it requires both of the above. To backstab Germany and befriend Turkey. Okay, and then you have this. You gain a conquer war goal against the Soviet Union. So not only can you backstab Germany, okay, but if you get Turkey on your side, okay, and Germany's probably out of the picture before you do this, this creates an extension on World War II on fighting the Russians. and not keeping the Allies involved. So this is a very interesting path you could go and not use your Navy in the Mediterranean as much. You become a dominant, flowing eastward army. So that's a fascinating alternate, and it's buried down here at the bottom. But you really have to think about that right from the beginning. There's no sense developing a Navy really, really strong if you're not going to put everything into the Navy because you're going to fight Germany and then fight Russia. So that may affect your choices. You also have this possibility of the Spanish-Italian alliance. Now it says, this focus currently has no effect. Changes in the world situation may affect this. So there's a possibility of you getting Spain and Portugal in an Italian alliance. And then you may want to go to war against the UK, especially if France is gone. I mean, there's definite options here for Italy that is not the traditional war. And you really need to think about the whole half of this line right from the beginning. You can't wait until you're down here. You need an idea that you're going to take a path over in this corner or not. So depending on how you join the Axis or you go alone, you may go after Yugoslavia. Right, you may get the war claims, and then you come down to this 8 million bayonets, and then it draws out into another long line. All of these require the 8 million bayonets, except this one. This requires both. This, confront the old guard, it's not connected to the rest of these. It's only connected to this one. So don't think you're going to open it up an awful lot. It's the 8 million bayonets that opens up really these bottom items down here. And what do we have? Into the Black Sea. Connect off Africa. Okay, one of the following must be true. Cairo controlled by the Italian Empire. South Egypt controlled by the Italian by the Kingdom of Italy. And it adds infrastructure, right? A different type of carrier. This is if you control Crete and Cyprus, you don't need an aircraft carrier in the Mediterranean because you have all these islands everywhere. So you use the islands as your aircraft carrier. Just move the planes around where you want them in the Mediterranean. Very Mediterranean concept. Okay. Develop the Black Sea Navy. Okay. You either have to be in a faction with Bulgaria or Romania. And somehow you must control the Istanbul city. Backdoor to Russia, a friend of Afghanistan. So this is kind of extreme. Equip the Iraqi rebels, okay, and oil expedition, oil development. So this is a lot of developing in the East, which comes through the 8 million bayonets, which is how you deal with Greece, okay, which comes up, are you joining the Axis or you're going Italy first in its own alliance? So it's a big division, okay, but there is some crossover down into this, but not here. Well, sorry, here. So it's very confusing. Very, very confusing. Ethiopian War, modern tactics. This comes directly down to the Italian Tank Division. Right? Modern Tank Division and confront the old guard, which brings down, modern army, a different type of carrier, blah, blah, blah. Different way of thinking over the traditionalists. So, fascinating interactions. It looks like there's a lot connected, but it's not. So number one thing, decide the major points that are lower early in your decisions. Major decision of Army versus Navy. Incredibly major decision, and you should plan that from the beginning of the focus tree. Okay? Stability is important. Look for those points of stability with Italy, okay, and get them as quickly and easily as you can. Okay, one way over here, one down here, three here. Bang, bang, bang. Those are pretty straightforward. Even though the naval stuff is here, there's a lot to do over here, which is not attached. Okay? Remember what we said? Where is it? Where's the naval? There it is. This is only attached if you choose this over this. Otherwise, this all becomes detached. That's why it's not over here. You can go through all this, and this is only attached to the naval, you might say, if you choose it. If you chose the Army, right? This. So the Army and Navy has this unusual split. It's over here on the right-hand side. Make sure you pay attention to that off the start. Okay. This is not straightforward. This is not a simple focus tree. Italy is not a simple, straightforward country to play. I don't know why people say, oh, when you start playing the game, you should play Italy, a small major power. Italy is at a crossroads with so many decisions, and it's so, the units are confusing. They're not consistent. The markings on the units are very mixed up. The stuff in the units in black ice is very varied. It's whatever they had at the time. That's what the unit was supplied with. That's the way it looks. Major decisions. Are you going by land? Are you going by sea? And that is really one of the ones right off the top. But it's just dealing with supply. Okay, military factories or a naval dockyard. It all comes down to this, but by land or by sea, how are you going to need more logistical supply? And that's right off the top. So this is really an indicator for a number of things deeper in the tech tree. But it's disjointed from here. Okay? But you can see now that this area at the top, two of those decisions are very, very connected to this decision over here, cutting off this part of that part. And yeah, you could go by sea here and then choose Army down here. If you're not thinking ahead and you're doing that, you're going to end up with a hodgepodge, and Italy will have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some Navy, some Army, but neither one will be first rate. And that is one of the things that Italy actually did suffer with during World War II. I think the focus tree sums that up well. You agree too, Clyde? I think Bonnie and Clyde agree with that. If you have any questions about my analysis of this focus tree, please leave me a question. I'll gladly get back to you and discuss the point. If you think I've made some critical errors or missed something, please let me know that as well. So, this is Grandpa Canuck signing off. Until next time, all you people and bots, be good to one another. Take care. Bye-bye.